we are going. Alright. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. So, last time we left off, we were working on the thermal propulsion rocket. So we've got mostly just the raw resource refining set up so far. And we're going to have to keep going forwards. I believe the next step is iron, right? We have to do like pure iron ingot refining, and then a bunch of iron pipes and other stuff. So, I guess let's get started on that now. So we've got our 2 belts of iron there, and we've got spare water pipe there. Hopefully that's going to be enough water. And I guess let's go up another floor, because this is going to be pretty sizable, and I don't want to have to like mess with trees and stuff, and also the other factories I've already set up. So we will have to put pumps on the water pipes, but that's fine. It's not exactly a big deal. We've got plenty of power. Alright, so that is going to extend out and give us our floor here. Now, do I have a blueprint for iron ore refining? I feel like I probably do, right? I do right here. Now this is... I believe this was speed balanced, or at least set up to be able to be speed balanced. So that is good. Although I wonder if I can fit... I should be able to make a blueprint with 4 refineries in it, right? Surely that'll be possible, and if it is, it'll save us quite a bit of time. Alright, so we need to leave enough room on the back for a belt, but not much more than that. And we need to have room in the front for a somewhat space-consuming setup. So let's get that in. And pure iron ingots. So this is 30 each. 35 to 65. So let's go 30 over 35 times 100 to get that to the correct value to be speed limited. So now this is 120, which means we can put those in, connect up to the splitters, and then connect up to this splitter, which still be Mark 1 belts going out that way. And then this connects across to that, which is going to be a Mark 2 belt. And a smart splitter with center overflow right any. So this will send 120 iron ore into this whole system, which will then fill up all of these machines. And so that is going to be speed limited, so it should work just about perfectly. And then we take our super fast belt and we set it up to auto connect. So something like that. Now we power line all of these together, and that is the front side done. Now we just have to put the mergers back here. So these get their mergers, And obviously we're going to have to make sure to split these off every so often in order to get the proper amount of belts in, because we're going to need a lot of belts to keep up with this. But for now, let's just set it up so that it can automatically snap across. Like so. And this is pure iron ingots. And let's overwrite the previous one, because this is just that, but better. Alright, so now we've got this blueprint. We just need to slap it across a couple of times. Okay, what is that? That's still just the ACU iron, which waits an unusually long time, but that's fine. It's supposed to do that. Alright. So let's get the blueprint in, and we can start placing this down. How many of these do I need? I need 33.385 refineries, which means I guess I'm going to need like 9-ish of these. And we're going to have to refill the belts partway through, but that's something that I can deal with later. So let's get the space going out that way. And just keep on placing these. Blueprint, auto-connect. There we go. There we go. Alright, let's get power up to here so that I can hover up here. It's going to be very useful. Across we go. And we just keep going. It's going to take a little bit of placing. And I really should have built the foundations before I put stuff on top of it. Makes it a lot easier, but oh well. We do that, and we just keep on going. Hopefully we don't run into that mountain. I don't think that'll be an issue, but better be... We should finish before we get that far out, right? I mean, we already have 4, which is half-ish. Alright. That's 5. That's 6. Let's get this power going across as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, just keep going. 3 more to place. 1, 2, and we ran out of power. There we go. Alright, so that connection didn't wind up going the normal way I do it, but it's gonna work out anyways. So we need just 1 more. And we went over the edge of the foundations again. So that will be the last time that happens, because this row is just about done. So we fill all this stuff in. And 1 more. Pure iron ingot. In. Alright. Now we just power it up. And there are trees sticking through the floor, but you can just get rid of them. Alright, that did not work. Gotta get rid of that tree back there. I have to hit left click instead of right click. It's very important. There we go. And then there's this one over here, which we need to get rid of. Alright, did that deal with all of them? Yep, that did. Alright. So now we need to, first of all, load up the iron and get that working. I don't know why from this angle it looks like these aren't connected across, but they definitely are. So first step is get the iron up onto this floor and figure out how much water we need. 17-ish. How much is this? 17.143 times 36 is 617. But we're not doing all of that. We're doing... Actually, I can just check. It's... Alright, apparently my math is wrong. Oh, yeah, my math is definitely wrong. Because this is not going to be enough. I think I need maybe another. How much? How much iron does this use? Because it's supposed to use 1168. This uses 30 times 36. So yeah, we're like 100-ish short. Which means we should just have to add in one more, which let's actually put that over on this side because it's closer. So we can just expand this out. Like so. And blueprints. Pure iron ingots. In we go. Alright, so now we have 30 times 40 is 1200. Which is a little bit more than we need. So we're just going to have to underclock something down at the other end. And apparently this is 667 water, so we are going to need to find a reload of that. Also, I forgot to put the water pipes into this blueprint. That's annoying oversight. Well, we'll just have to do it manually then. Fortunately, it's not terribly annoying. It is definitely a bit annoying, though. So we have to drag this pipe all the way across. And then we're going to have to connect it in to all 40 of the machines individually. So, across we go. Yeah, this is huge. There. And we just keep going. Okay, maybe two more? No, maybe just one more. Okay, it is two more. So then we just go across to there. And that's the water pipe in. Now we need to get the junctions for all of these. Oh, to have a blueprint. Alright, why will that not line up properly? Sometimes it snaps, sometimes it doesn't. Did that go? No, that did not go in correct. Alright. Just another 20 billion of these. Fortunately, just dragging the pipes from the junctions into the machines is the easy part. So let's just go along. That did not get placed in properly. Alright. should be just about there. Oh, there's still so many left. Okay, that's rough. Yeah, this is the kind of project where you don't want to miss something like this on the blueprint. Alright, we just keep going. The trick is to not worry too much about how much work there is left to do. Just keep your eyes focused on what you're doing. Focus on the task immediately ahead of you, and then the stuff that's far ahead will come eventually. Alright, so now we just snap all of these in, and we'll have our water pipe. Alright, across we go. We just keep on doing this. We'll get there eventually. Fortunately, there's a lot less room for error in this. It's still possible to just misclick, but it's a lot harder. So we can go a lot faster and get all of these done. Alright. Almost done. There we go. Alright, so the whole system is now connected up to one giant pipe. And I can then go back and attach that pipe into water. So, from what I recall, there are two main places that I can grab the water. One is from this pipe here, and the other is just like spare from, I don't know, this one or something. So that's like 85.4 times 4 is 341. So there's going to be a couple hundred spare in that pipe. So we can use it as well as this one. Assuming that this is a full pipe of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I'm only counting 4, but that should be enough for the amount of spare that we need, assuming that this is a full pipe. It shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to get 2 floor holes up there, and these two can both go into them. Alright, so you connect in there. You can come all the way down this way. And I'm going to want you to be relatively flat and organized because we want to have some other belts in this gap as well. So this comes down to approximately the other end of the manifold, and then goes up and in. Alright. So now we need to get the water pumping, because this is going to be too high up. Yes, that's the head lift maximum there right in front of it. So we get those two in, and what? Why did you do that? Alright, I guess it's fine. It doesn't matter. We can just get that, and we should get water coming up here. It might take a little bit for the pumps to work. You're only getting like 50-ish flow rate. which is kind of suspicious. Why is that? So these guys all only connect up to this. Should give this a flow rate of like 600, not 50. This one, meanwhile, should be competing with the concrete, but isn't. Fluids, why are you like this? Why can't we just all be normal? Did I like, I don't know, put that on backwards or something? Maybe if I just put it lower, maybe it was too high to begin with. Yeah, that was probably the problem. It's probably just too high to begin with. So now that's going up, and this is going up. These are all still getting priority, it looks like. So this flow rate isn't quite as high. This flow rate is absolutely cooking, though. So because it's going to take the fluids quite a bit of time to properly manifold across, we're going to make sure that those machines are also powered up. And we're just going to give it a second. Because as soon as we put the iron in, these are going to start draining water out. And then we're going to have, you know, a lot harder time filling all these pipes up. Which currently is going reasonably quickly. Because if everything is filled to begin with, we have enough water to keep it filled. So let's just do that and hope that this works. It's gonna take a while for water to get all the way like in this central bit, which is furthest from the rest of it. It technically has like, you know, 0.0001 water or whatever, but it's gonna be a little bit. We have 600 a minute, and each of these stores 50. So I guess that's like, what, 12 of these filled a minute, and we have 40. So theoretically, this should take like 5 minutes to fill. And so we're just going to have to give it like 5 minutes. Probably closer to 6 or 7 minutes, because all these pipes also have to fill up, and that's going to account for quite a bit. But, you know, shouldn't be that much of a difference. Alright. Let's see here. I guess we might as well drop down here and check. We have green lights. Oh, those are yellow. Did I forget to put a sink on them? Yes, I did. Oh, I forgot to connect them up to output just in general. Whoopsies. Alright, so these, we can just do this while we wait, and by the time we're done here, that should be finished as well. So we get that. And we get these belts in. So there we go. And how much copper sheets is it? It's 180 copper sheets. So Mark III belts are sufficient, and we can just use those. And then we get a smart splitter with a sink and right overflow. Now we just power the sink on, connect you up there, and now that should get going stably again. So that's cool. The copper is going, the limestone is going. Now if we get back up here, How is water looking? We're getting there. We are 100% getting there. It's just, you know, still got a ways to go. There's so many machines here. I guess I can start working on connecting up the output side. So, the outputs of these machines are 55.714. 780 divided by 55.714 is almost exactly 14. That's suspicious. Is that a rounding error? No, that's probably correct. There's probably more decimals in there that I'm not seeing. Just for the sake of being safe, I'm going to go batches of 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you can loop out and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, then we take you out like that. And then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, yeah, and then we're going to have just one spare. This is honestly close enough to being exactly 4 belts of output that I'm going to just check. Because it might actually be exactly 4 belts of output. We have 1,560 plus 210 plus 399. 1560 plus 210 plus 399.9 is 2,170. Divided by 3 divided by 780 is... no, it's some weird number. Actually, I don't know why... oh, right, because this isn't exact yet. I have to underclock these ones down at the end. So let's do that then. We need these... we need 2,170. We need 2,170 iron. We have 55.714 times 40 is 2,205. So we need to remove 35.6. Alright, that we can just go... this last one is 55.714 times 4 is 222.8576 minus 35.6 is 187.256. Minus all right. I've lost track of my thoughts a little bit there. I should have written down these numbers. So 55.714 times 40. No, it's 0.714 is 2,228.56. $2,170 minus that. All right, now the numbers are different. That's concerning. is 58.56. $58.56. 1770. Yeah, okay, so this should be correct. Unless I put parentheses on it and it magically changes. No, it doesn't. So we need to get rid of 58.56. So let's go over to get a sign. And 58.56 spare. So then we need to take 55.714 times 4 is that, minus 58.56 is 164.296. 296. Last batch target. So 164.296 divided by 4 is 41.074. 41.074. And then we copy this across. And we should be all set up. Now, obviously, in all the time I spent staring at that, the water is all in. So now we should be able to just hop on over here and put iron in and get this started. Alright, so this, we're going to need this floor to come over a little bit. And then these to go up. Like that and that. Up you go, and up you go. I don't know why this specific, 4-meter area contains more clipping than anything else I've ever done. But I guess we're just going to live with that. Alright, so then this comes over there and loops in. And that will be that started. Then we need this to come over this way, sneak underneath that water pipe. And let's see, where exactly does that need to go in? I guess we can just see where this isn't. This should stop after a certain point, or at least, yeah, let's go down this way. And in here you see that it's no longer enough past this point. So we are going to merge that in. And why? Oh, that didn't actually get connected up. Right. Alright, so let's take that spot out. Put you in. Connect you across. Actually, okay, so there was originally enough buffer on the belt for it to be outputting 780, but it's actually only 600. So I think actually we need to go back to here. So let's take those out. and change that to a splitter. And then connect all this stuff back up. And you can also go back like that. So hopefully that handles it. It's a bit weird. A bit weirdly set up, but as long as it works, then it'll work. Okay. I think we want to just disconnect that and keep this as a single connection point, unless we absolutely have to. Alright, so this is still backing up, which is not surprising, I guess. It's a little surprising. It makes me think that something might be going wrong somewhere. Now, all of these belts should be full. And even if we go back here, they are. So that should be okay. Now, okay, these have just produced a massive amount of iron and filled up all of this stuff immediately. So now we need to get all of this organized. So, first, we are going to have each of these get its own independent sink. So you go here. And I don't know, something like that, I guess, is fine. Then you connect around to there and into the sink. Then the sinks need to connect up to a power line, which we should have plenty of. So now that is going, and we just need to... I guess we might want to bring all of these belts to be in the same location. We're going to want that eventually at some point. May as well start doing it now. Alright, so then this becomes another splitter, which gets popped out into a sink over here. And there we go. Like so. And then we power this on. Alright, did I remember to make this a smart splitter, or are you just a regular splitter? You are just a regular splitter. Alright, so these obviously all need to be smart splitters with left any center overflow so that the sinks don't mess with the actual production once we have that. You need to be a smart splitter with left, no, not left, not left, any center overflow. And you go out that way. Then you need to come around here and go up and over. Alright, then we keep going this way. And actually, because the last couple machines are slower, I think we don't need to have a fourth belt, and I think just the 3 belts would be enough. So yeah, let's change that. You go forwards. And put that in. Put you in. And then we just get the splitter, which is right overflow. Center any, and let's power this on. Alright, so that is going, and that is going. So now we just have to organize up these belts into a consistent setup. So these hop over that, and then come down to here. And then down. Now they're all on a level. They're slightly more spaced out than the most compact possible, but that's fine. They can do that. Alright, and then all of these have access to water. They should all be outputting. This is going to take a while for their buffers to run out, because there's just a lot of... It's very, very close to max belt speed on each of these. But it looks like that is all set up and ready to go. And it all looks functional. And since all the stuff here is being grabbed locally, we're not going to have weird train issues. Everything will just work forever, in theory. So yeah, these ones over here are very slowly trickling down, and there's plenty of room on the belts until we get up here near the edge, and then things get crazy. But I did build these in to have enough free space that it shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so we have our iron. Next, we need to just do stuff with the iron. So we need 1560. That's just exactly 2 belts, right? 1560 divided by 2 is 780. Yes, so we just need exactly 2 belts to go into iron pipes. And then 400 to go into iron wire. And then 210 to go into coated iron plates, which is something we will deal with in a bit, because we have to bring plastic production down for that. But for now, let's just do the rest of this stuff. So we get some space here, and we need to make sure that these left 2 belts are fully saturated, which currently they won't be. Alright, so I think the way we've done this in the past is we actually need some extra space. So we need a merger there, a priority merger there with a smart splitter there. So this is priority center. This is left any center overflow. So now that will get this one all filled up. Then, after that, we need to do the same thing here, which is priority medium center, left any center overflow. Then we just connect all of these guys up. And we will have our 2 fully saturated belts to go off to iron wire. And that's these 2. And then this will then be less saturated because it's being pulled to fill in this one. So, iron wire is 15.6 constructors. So that is straightforward enough. Let's just go up here and then loop in this way to do that. So it's just constructors. It's not going to be a lot of space, but we want to keep it sort of within the same general square footprint as the factory we've been building so far. Right, actually, because of the way I did that, it would have been more convenient for this to be one of the full ones and not the partially unfull one, but it's fine. So these two are going to have to go up and skip over that. Alright. So then these two can come down like that or something. And then we just need to set up our iron pipe constructors. So it uses 15.6 of them, and we're going to round that up to 16, obviously. And then just do a basic splitter array. Let's see, how much space is this going to use? We should be able to fit it in here, right? That sink might be marginally in the way, but let's see here. There's one. Then there's two. That's 4. That's 8. That's 16, but we don't actually need that because we have that splitting done just by those two. So yeah, this is enough space. It's a little bit close, but it'll be fine. So you are told to make iron pipes. And instead of the amount that you're doing, we need, let's see, we need 390 steel pipes total, so 390 divided by 16 should be marginally less than 25. And it is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel like I have a blueprint for something like this that I could use, but 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, so now we just have to start connecting these up and mark 2 belts all along the way, but we're not going to be doing those, we're just going to be doing the splitters first. So we get a splitter every other one. And there. Alright, so now we get Mark II belts into all of these. Like so. Just spam all of these out. And done. Alright, so that's the first row. Then the second row is going to be almost like 200. So we're going to need Mark III belts for them. And we just keep placing these splitters in. There we go. And there we go. That's all of them. We're going to need another row there in the near future. So these just go across. And that is that. So now we've got these 4, which are going to need to be super fast belts. Like that and that. And then this one is gonna need its own. Like that and that. And now we just put these belts in there. There we go. And then you go all the way over to here. And in. Alright, so that should get the iron across to all of those machines, and now we just have to get power. So let's get a power pole, start attaching things up, and then we're going to have to do the output side. Alright, let's get another power pole so that we have plenty of spare spots on them. Really should have done a blueprint for this. It would have saved quite a bit of time. Alright, so that all powered up. Just got to connect it into another pole somewhere. Here you've got plenty of spare slots, so we can go back here and connect into that. Did I miss any? I did not. Cool, now we are making a whole bunch of that. And we are going to merge up the steel pipes to this direction. And I believe that 1560 divided by 4 is 390. Yeah, so that is the correct amount. And we're not going to need multiple belts for this. So let's just go along. Get a whole bunch of mergers in. And then connect all of these belts up. There we go. And cool. Now we just need... Well, let's do the sink while we're on this side. And you need a little bit of extra space for that. And a smart splitter, which goes across like that. Now we just... Okay. Technically, Mark IV belts would be okay here. But I prefer Mark V belts for basically all purposes, because I have a personal grudge against Mark IV belts. So we are just going to drag these across. And that is all attached up. Now we just need to power the sink. And we have our steel pipes. Alright, steel pipes, check. And then it's just going to take not too long for the belts to empty out and be correct. Alright, it looks like somehow this belt isn't doing much of anything, but these two are still fine. Which definitely isn't how I did the math, but... Oh, did I see that nudge a little bit forwards? I might have. Who can say? Who can say? The important thing is that it will definitely work. It might not be necessary, but it looks like it is a little bit. And as long as it definitely works, then that is fine by me. So this is going. And yeah, all good. Pipes are now basically gone. Alright, so that's the iron pipes. Check. Next, we need to get 400 iron ingots to iron wire. So, let's do that. We can just take this foundation over that way. Take this belt over. And we're going to need 30 to construct. Yeah, let's make a blueprint for this. It's going to save so much time over setting up that whole thing. Blueprint Designer Mark II. And actually, I might have a constructor blueprint that does this sort of thing already, but I don't know what it is, so we're just going to ignore it and place in 1, 2, 3, 4 constructors in a row. And then we are just going to set it up so that they are split. And we're going to use Mark I belts for this. Let's actually go up to Mark II belts there, just in case. And then we can get the power pole in. Okay, actually, how much wire is this? Iron wire is very small numbers. Okay, so that's not a concern. And it's exactly 32 of them, so I don't even need to do any fancy stuff with that. So we just paste those settings across. And then we get the mergers in. Then those go up, and then the output belt is going to be a Mark V because it's got to be super fast. And then we can call this Iron Wire Blueprint. Iron Wire. Yes, we can overwrite whatever the other one is, because I didn't know it existed, so I'm not going to be able to use it helpfully. So now we can dismantle that, and I don't think I set this up to... Yeah, I didn't set this up to auto-connect the outputs, but that's fine, it's not that much work. So, if we need 32 of these, that is 8 copies of this blueprint. So I guess that's going to be a bit space-consuming. 2, 3. Alright, just keep getting the foundation so that we do not go off into the void. Looks like we did a little bit here. Oh boy. Okay, power is a bit sketch out here, apparently. So let's get all of those hooked up so that I can just fly in this area. Okay, that is number 4, 5, 6, and get a bit more foundation out. And now I think we're like more or less directly above an existing factory, so we should be doing better for power lines over here. Alright, let's bring this row of foundation out as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, alright, just 2 more. 7 and 8. Alright, and we just barely didn't go over the edge there, so that's nice. So now we can attach all the rest of this power. And 1 more, and now they're all attached up. Alright. This is apparently 720 wire a minute, which is less than a single belt, so that's fine. Now we just need to get the remaining rows of splitting in. So let's actually... No, yeah, let's go from this side. So we get one, and we skip one. And we get one, and we skip one. Get one, and we skip one. And then we get one, and we skip one. Alright, so that if that's 12.5, that's 25. That is 50. So, like, even back here, we still don't need Mark II, which is pretty neat. We put Mark II belts in the blueprints for caution, but it doesn't seem to be necessary. Alright, let's hope that I haven't missed anything in, you know, some tiny belt somewhere that didn't get hooked up properly. Alright, so now we just have to go this again. Get one, skip one, get this one, skip the last one. Alright, now these need to be Mark II. So we can just go across like that. The trips we have to take are getting a bit longer. And there's still one more left after this. Alright, so the final split. Back there. Probably has to be Mark III, right? Probably has to be Mark III. So this goes over here. It's got quite the journey. We have this random gap. Let's cover that in. And in. Alright, now we just have to get 400 from here into there. So, in order to get 400, that is going to be... Well, let's see. 270 plus 130? No, that's no good. 480 minus 80 is pretty easy, I think. Yeah, let's go 480 minus 80. So, we have a smart splitter there. Let's move this forwards to this way. So we have a smart splitter, which is going to send belt of 480 is going to go into that, and then off of this is going to be a 120. So we have that, and we have this. So that is 120. And then the 120 is going to be split into 3. So we've got 40, 40, and 40. And then these two make up 80 and go back into here with priority. So then that is 480. And write any center overflow to make sure that that works out properly. So we have 120 going there, 360 going there, plus 40. Yes, alright. So that all works. And then we have a relatively small Mark IV belt, like that. And then this just goes in via that. And the whole system works. And then I guess we're probably going to have another smart splitter going between this and the other 210 iron ingots that we need for the coated iron plates. But that is something which can be dealt with in the future. In the meantime, let's get this output all connected up. So these all go across. And then we just put a sink at the end, and we have our wire. Alright, so let's expand this out a little bit. Get some extra space there for the sink. Okay, sink goes in. Splitter goes in. That goes across. And it gets powered up. Alright. So that is iron wire done. Alright, is that... I believe that's everything that we can do here. On this floor, right? Let's actually check. Yeah, so heat sinks are next, but they need aluminum. Encased industrial beams we're making from aluminum beams for some awful reason. I don't know why we're doing that, but sure, if it insists. Alright, so then aluminum casings obviously requires aluminum. Steel screws require steel beams from the aluminum beams. The iron pipes are going to heavy encased frames, which requires all sorts of stuff. Coated iron plates requires plastic. Aluminum rods requires aluminum. The whole crude oil recycling loop requires crude oil, obviously, to make the plastic. Alright, so I think that is all we can do down here. So now what we need to do is we need to just gather up all of the outputs of this factory. Like all of the things that we have here which need to be used in the rest of the factory. Just gather them all up and prepare to start sending them directly up. And then there's some stuff we can do up above before we get them, and then the final output is, I guess, just going to be in the middle for some reason. Weird factory designs, but should be fine. Alright, so let's just say this, like this gap in here is a good spot for everything to meet up. It's relatively central, right? Yeah, so let's do that. So we are going to have just some space in here and put some extra foundations out to there. Alright, so the pipes are going to go right overflow around the sink and up to this general area. The wire will go out of the sink over to this general area. Gonna have to give this the settings right, so overflow right any. Alright, and we can worry about getting them exactly lined up once this is all done, but okay, this is apparently not set up properly. Yes, this is set up backwards. Overflow right any. So there we have steel pipes. We have some iron ingots which need to get over there. Let's see here. I guess this can go in just a relatively small gap. That can go in there. Smart splitter, like so, which goes right any center overflow. And there's going to be a bit of a disruption in this, but I don't really care. Alright, so then this is going to need to Actually, is there a way? Yes. There is a way to make this less terrible. So we bring you back to there. Put the smart splitter in there. Then this connects up to there. That goes around to there. I don't know why it's saying it's too steep. Probably just got confused. So this is center any, right overflow. Now this can just sort of sneak through there. And it barely fits, but it does fit. That's the important part. Oh, straight mode did weird stuff again. Okay, go to default mode and just not worry about the exact alignment. Alright, so that is the spare iron ingots into this general area. And that, I believe, is everything from this floor. And now these are going to be waiting on those disruptions from when I tore the belts out briefly. So now we drop down here to our copper. And I assume that this is some sort of balanced split. So this copper is just going to go up. So let's get a floor hole in. I don't know, somewhere like there. And this is a Mark II belt, so I'm just gonna trust that I know what I was doing with that. And this goes up. And we have our copper in this general area. And let's just have a little belt out of that so we can see that it's copper. So that is that. And I believe that's going to make, like, the all-clad sheets or something. Yes, 100 copper ingots goes to all-clad sheets. Alright. So then we go back here. And we get these, which are center any. So we bring this over, and it is going to just come up, I guess, there or something. Actually, we can get it aligned up better because it's just on that. So then this comes down. And there we go. Send that in. And that is copper sheets. Alright, copper sheets check. Ingots and wire are all here. I believe then that just leaves us with limestone remaining, which is a bit further away. So we're going to have to bring the limestone... Let's bring the limestone up onto the roof, like over here, and just drag it along back this way. So something like that. So we can put our floor hole... I don't know, put it there, let's say. And how much concrete is this? Well, it's like 200. More, slightly more than 200. Oh, it's just barely faster than a Mark III belt, right? I remember being annoyed about that. Alright, so let's get this foundation all lined up. And bring that down, and then you go in there. So this is center overflow right any. So there is our limestone going into the correct location. Alright, so got everything, I believe, in the general vicinity. Now we just need to bring it all together into one nice coordinated block of lifts. So this goes forwards. And yeah, we can just put them in here. And how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, we want our copper ingots to be facing the other way, obviously. So there we go. And then we just put in lifts, right? So we get 1, 2, 3. Trying to get them all lined up properly is a little bit hard. Oh, these are all pointing backwards. These are all facing the wrong way. Gotta dismantle them. So yeah, these need to be outputting up to the top, not out to the bottom. So we get 1, and they're trying to snap in to each other, which is not ideal. Alright, there we go. That's 2, 3, 4, and then the other 2 need to have the bottom side be facing this way for those. It should otherwise be lined up the same. So 5 and 6. Alright, so now these all go across into there. And we're just going to have all of these be marked 5s so that I don't have to worry about it. Boom. And boom. Mission accomplished. The copper and... yeah, the copper looks like it's not going real fast. Is this having issues? It looks fine. Yeah, so it just sort of comes in waves, I guess, and then it does this thing. Alright. Although maybe that's just because that backed up. That's probably why. Alright, is that like a Mark 1 belt that I have there? I feel like somewhere in here. Yes, you wound up as a Mark 1 belt. Alright, so now we have all of this. And they are gonna go up. And eventually they will find a factory up there, presumably. In the meantime, though, we have... let's see here. Let's organize the blueprint I've got over here. So we need to bring... actually, we can't do much of anything without the water for the diluted fuel as the last little bit that we need. So yeah, I guess we're just going to go up a little bit with these, but mostly just bring the other ingredient down to here. Is that going to be fine? Yeah, that should be fine. So either we bring these ingredients up or we bring those ingredients down, but we need the water. We need 237 water plus another 59.3 water for the diluted fuel and residual rubber. So yeah, actually this doesn't even need to be like a huge, massive, concerted thing. I mean, I guess we have this, but it doesn't need to go up that high, basically. We have it already, so we're going to just have this be a large floor. Again, where this will be like very marginally wasteful in terms of the amount of water that we have to pump. If we built it lower, we might require one fewer pump or something, but it's only a single pipe of water, so it's not really a huge deal anyways. Alright, so this is going to be our new floor, up here. And we need to then bring the stuff from the higher floor down to here, and we need to bring these things up onto the foundation proper. So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 floor holes, which are going to be set up with lifts. So those all go in. These all go across. Like so. And then we have these. Alright. So, next step is we need to bring this over to where the ingredients over here are going to be coming down, which is a ways over this way. So we need to bring this over to here. Because this is sort of the approximate landing point for where the train station is. So let's grab some space over there, but then I think we just go up, gather up those resources off the train, and then start bringing them down, which is going to be a bit time consuming, because there are quite a few of them. But we should be able to manage. Actually, I don't think there's all that many. There are 3 or 4, right? There's like oil, there's nitrogen, and aluminum. Yes, these 3. Alright, so first off, oil. We need almost 0 oil, really. We need 89. So let's get this set up. And I guess we will potentially want to have a fluid buffer just so that weird stuff doesn't happen with the trains. It's probably not necessary, but it'll mean that when the trains empty, if they don't empty perfectly evenly, we should still be okay. Alright, so that. Then we attach all of these up. And this pipe should be filling with oil. Indeed it is. Alright, so now we send some into that fluid buffer. And then I guess we're going to create a little mini logistics floor down here, which is where all of these 3 things will meet up and also do any organizing that they need to do individually. That's more complicated than can be squeezed into the tiny space. So we have our oil. Check. Now we go over here to the aluminum. And we need quite a bit of aluminum, right? 1330, yes. That is not quite 2 full belts worth. So we're going to do that the easy way with mergers on each of these. So we have 2 outputs per train station. So we can grab these 2. And I think just for fun, because I think this helps distribute the load evenly between the different ports, having them face opposite ways. So that will be a minor improvement, probably, but every little bit counts. Alright, so then this, all of these belts go in, and then we have to merge up. Alright, so now those are all in. These go across to form the belts proper, as do these. There we go. Alright, now we bring them down to the little mini logistics floor. So you can feed from there, and then we have to go over here. And you just go like that. Alright, so now those two are down. Then we have to go over here for the nitrogen, right, which is 610 nitrogen gas. Basically the most annoying possible quantity, because it means I'm going to need to bring 2 pipes. Alright, so the way we can do that is just have 1 pipe go across these, and then connect down to 2 separate pipes going down to the factory. So we've got that. Now all of these connect in like that, and let's get a fluid buffer on here, just again, just to be sure that nothing weird will happen. Then these all connect up. And we've got nitrogen gas. Okay, actually, I don't want the... No, it's fine. It's fine. The fluid buffer shouldn't really matter either way. So now we get pipeline floor holes. So you go down there. And you go down here. Like that. Alright, now we have to just bring this little mini logistics floor over to get all of these things sorted up and together. So that goes to there. This comes out here. And then over to there. Alright, so these are our belts, which we can have you go straight over this way. Actually, no, we want these ones to go over that way, just so we're closer. So that goes in, comes over this way. And then let's just get a pair of floor holes there that these can go down. Alright, then we want all of this to be pretty much contained in a small area so that I can drag it down easily. So we're going to get a floor hole there for the crude oil. And 2 floor holes there and there for the nitrogen. So let's grab the nitrogen then. You come down to here. You are going to have a bit more of a trip. come over this way. And around here. And then in. And you go in. Then we grab our crude oil. We bring it right over here. And down. Okay. Now I've just realized that these pretty much all need to be in a row so that I can drag them down easily. Having it like this isn't really going to work. But that's fine. We can fix that. We can fix that just down here. So we need to get further over this way anyways, so I guess we can have another kind of ridiculous little mini logistics floor, which can go there. And now we just need to line all of these up into designated spots. So you can be the furthest one to the side there. We're going to have to be a little bit sneaky here to get these to line up properly. But you can go out like that. Alright, then you wrap around like that. So now we have the pipes to deal with. So you go to there, you go out to there. And then you twist around into that. And you just do basically the same thing. Like that. And then we just need one more over here for you to go like that. Alright, so that is all aligned. Now we just need to bring them over to, first of all, line up with the edge of a foundation properly. Yeah, this is ridiculous looking. Everything about this floor is awful. Just even including the fact that it has to exist in the first place. Alright, so then that goes there. That goes there. And then this is the last one to line up there. Alright, so now these are lined up to a reasonable location. We can bring them over this way. And then they just have to go straight forwards. Should make it relatively easy. Pipes are going to want to snap in if they line up properly, so they're going to have to not line up properly. And then these just go like that. And like that. Alright, so now we're here. We have power there, so we should be good to just descend over here. Not do any more horrific adjustments. So we just get a wall going super far down. And now all of these have to wind up on this wall somehow. Like that. Okay, that's a bit gross with the clipping, but it's fine. And then the belts are going to be slightly different, because of course they are. Why would this be at all easy? They're going to have to get right up to the edge and then lift down. Alright, and then from here we can just keep on going as far as they will go. That one comes down here as well. Alright, we've got a bit further to drop. But then we should have finally all of our materials on location, and we can just start working away at the factory. So let's build the wall all the way down first, and then get the belts and pipes onto it. Oh. Oh god. Well, that's terrible. This doesn't quite line up, I guess. How is that possible? I mean, it lines up precisely with that. How is it offset? Are these not both coming down from the same spot? Let's go up and see where a mistake happened. Oh, is it because this was... I bet this wasn't aligned properly. Yeah, look at that. This goes slightly off the edge. Alright, it's fine. It's not a big deal. We just have to deal with that. So this goes down like that. And then we bring the pipes. Which could go down further than the belts can, for whatever reason. Alright, let's just do pipes next, and then belts after that. So the belts are going to be far enough away from the wall that we don't necessarily need to have the pipes in this exact spot, although it would probably be more convenient for them to be like this. Alright, so that goes down. That goes down. This comes all the way down to there. And making our way. Almost there. Almost there with the pipes, and then we just have to do the belts. Alright, we should be able to just... Yeah, we can just go there. And you just line up properly for once. Thank you. And then you go to there. So that is pipes all the way down. Now we have to go up and grab the belts so that they aren't left behind. And just bring two belts all the way down to that. Alright, so let's... I guess we can just keep having these creep forwards. I mean, they're going to have to eventually anyways, so it may as well happen here. Let's see how far forwards they go. It's pretty far. Alright. Now they're here. And they just need to then disembark onto this and shift over a little bit so that they are aligned properly. Alright. So that's all that. I just realized we also need to bring a water pipe up to this floor. I didn't do that. So let's grab, I don't know. So we have, what, 3 pipes total? We've got this one. We've got... I could have sworn we had one that was like over here somewhere. Okay, yeah, no, we have this one here which does the copper. We've got this one here which does the limestone and part of the iron, and that one which does the rest of the iron. So this is the only water pipe which hasn't gone up to the next floor. So let's bring it up. And it can go up on, I guess, just over here. This is a reasonable spot to put it. Let's just figure out where it has to go to, and then figure it out from there. Okay. Also, these are not getting enough iron. All right. So let's just fix a bug real quick. And it looks like the iron shortage is pretty universal. So what is going on there? It should be fine. We've got yellow lights on some of these, just like randomly in the middle. I assume it'll be lack of water. Yep, it sure is. Alright, let's just make sure that the water supply is good by grabbing some of this water, which otherwise wouldn't have been used for anything. So this is our last of our 3 pipes of water. And it can go up to here. And just do something completely unhinged like that. Of course, that didn't work. If I recall, you have to grab into the floor hole like that. And like that. Then we put a pump on right there. And connect that on. So now, any water which is getting over here is going to get sent up to that. And I don't know, hopefully that will do something. The amount of water that we need is 1560, which is several hundred less than 3 pipes total. So we should be fine here. Alright, so that then goes up, gets all of these guys filled, and hopefully that helps. It's going to take a little bit for these ones over here to see the benefits, but they should get there eventually. Let's see, this one is going up very slowly. It's hard to tell if it's working or not. That was 50, that one's 50, that one's at 50. This one is going up, probably. Although not especially fast. Let's see here. Let's check where the water is going. 341 is going to wet concrete. Only 74 is going to pure copper and 180 to steamed copper. 667 is going to iron. Alright, we should be sending plenty up, and I don't understand why it isn't. So that's sending up 200, or 300 even, which is about what I would expect. It's about what I would expect, and then the steamed copper is still doing fine. And those are both connected up to this one pipe, right? Yes. So I would expect that this should resolve itself, and it does look like that's happening. I see a whole lot of green all the way across. Although in some of these, it's a bit sketch. 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, this one is going to be running stably, probably. Got up to 10 there. Okay, now it's filling even faster. It's going to get well past 10. Alright. So yeah, this one isn't getting enough, but it will soon, probably. So I think that should be all clear. And then we just need to bring the water up onto the next thing, which is a bit worrying because we seem to be having problems with the current water supply, but hopefully it'll just magically work itself out now that we have enough. These ones in here are filling up very slowly. So these ones are at 50. This one is about to be at 50. So that's good. That's showing significant progress. Alright, so you hit 50. And you just continue to wait. This pipe fills up, and now this one will be filling even quicker. And we have this water pipe, which... Let's get some valves on here to control flow direction and make sure nothing weird happens. There. So you make sure water only goes that way. Which caused weird things temporarily, but now seems to be working. So we want water from this pipe to be going in here and filling these machines. We don't want water from like that pipe to be getting across to here. And likewise, I want a valve on this one. Just to prevent backflow under all circumstances. And then we'll get one more flow direction control valve there. And now that should all be cleared up. So now water should only ever be going into this and not doing weird stuff and trying to flow back out. And we should be putting significantly more water into this system than we need to at this point. Which makes it all the stranger that this doesn't seem to be working, and in fact seems to have gotten worse. Why is water like this? Why can't it just be normal? Because now like a ton of these don't have any spare water in the pipes. It looks like they are getting there, and it was just a short disruption, hopefully. Hopefully we haven't, like, somehow broken headlift somewhere. Alright, so these are filling up. Once more. There we go. That's going. All of these are going. Speaking of fluids and being weird, power is going just fine. Gotta check that every so often. So this pipe is flowing 500 some into this. And yet almost none of these have spare coming from that direction. Alright. Please just work. This is hardly getting anything. It's up at 47, but it's not going to stay there if it continues along like that. Yeah, that's going to be dropping down a bit. This is continuing to drop. Yeah, I don't know why this pipe is hardly getting anything. Now that is down to 0. Why? Okay, but over here is 600. What is going on? Where did the valve get placed? Valve is there. 0 there. 0 on either side of the valve. And then all of this is also 0. Please just be normal. Alright, this is now showing 500 something. I guess it might just be skipping up and down weirdly, depending on where demand happens. There are now only a couple in here which don't have backups. So that looks like it's going up. Alright, it looks like we are getting there. So whatever problem we had, it seems like we've resolved it. But we need several hundred spare water for the diluted fuel and plastic production. Which, I'm gonna be real, doesn't seem like it's happening here. This is not what a system with several hundred spare water looks like. That's for sure. Which makes me wonder where the extra water even is. So let's go down to the water extractors to see what's going on. So that is capped at 24%. This one is capped at 32% and has a random radioactive hog next to it. So all of these guys are sending out much higher ratios, and they are going up into this. And this pipe is very low. So this is giving enough head lift, so that's fine. But for whatever reason, this doesn't have the demand that we would expect it to. There's hardly any going this way. I guess it's just very spiky. Alright, let's try... If we just give you a fluid buffer... Just something like that. That should, in theory, equalize out the demand so that it's more constant. and less like, oh, all of the machines required water all at once. Let's go up and down and up and down and up and down type of thing. So hopefully that'll stabilize out the demand a bit on that side. And I don't know, I guess we can just pop one in there as well. And then just to make sure we don't have weird stuff happening, we've got valves going in there and there. Just to make sure that water only ever flows in the direction that I want it to. So that fluid buffer is now going in. And hopefully that will fix that problem. We should see these extractors should now be draining a lot more aggressively. At least one of these should be. Yeah, this one is going at 100% at least. And is rapidly draining. And now it's just going whenever it gets water. And then the rest of these are probably going to follow suit, producing a whole bunch of excess water in order to fill those fluid buffers. This one is obviously low priority, so it'll get used eventually, probably. Alright, then if we go up here, this might very well have the same problem. So let's get over here into this sort of empty area. Although, I mean, this is still just... It's not like the demand here is inconsistent because it's not full. Alright, well maybe those fluid buffers down here will help. And then if they don't, then I don't know what I will do. So that is doing nothing of interest, it's just filling. This one is doing nothing of interest, it's just filling. Alright. Well, we're gonna have to... because we can't, like, add more water on reasonably while this is going the way it is. Are all of these outputting all of their water? 100%, 100%, 100%. This one is only 60%. That one's only 48%. Well, isn't that just fantastic? I do love it when we don't have enough water in the pipes, but we just continue to have problems with it anyways. Yeah, so this is incredibly annoying. So this is where our refill comes. And what if we just want... what if we just want that? So that everything up to here is only filled from that side. And then everything here is filled mostly by this. How much water is this? 17.143 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I feel like I was counting wrong there. So each of these is a batch of 4, right? So that's 4, 8, 12, 16. 16, 17, 18. 17.143 times 18 is only 308. So this shouldn't even be an issue. Like, we should have literally up to twice this point coming out of this one pipe. So I don't know why that was needed at all, basically. So now this is showing a flow rate in the 500s. But is that going to fluctuate a lot? No, it looks... I mean, it's been in the 500s for quite a while now. Occasionally it drops down a little, but it looks like that is using as much water as it can. So this one is hardly anything now. It's just like an occasional little bit. And then we have these ones, which are obviously being filled from this side, which is hardly getting any as well. Now that might be, and it probably is, just because it's filling these buffers instead of doing anything else. But even the buffer is not filling very fast, and in fact currently it's marginally net negative. So yeah, don't know what that's all about. This fill rate fluctuates a whole lot, as does the drain rate. I think that's probably just it handling this. Because we do want it to be, you know, fluctuating around the center, keeping things nice and even. Because if this is draining like this, it is balancing out, although this isn't getting any fill for quite a while now. And I don't know why that is. If it's just not filling at all, that's kind of an issue. Oh wait, no, it is filling occasionally. In which case, it's probably doing a great job of balancing out the averages of consumption. Although these are like every 8 seconds, so I don't know why they're that extreme. These ones make sense, right? Because this is every 25 seconds it takes a big gulp. So it makes sense that this might be a little bit swingy if they're all lined up. Alright, it's filling now. Yeah, I think this is going to work. I think this is going to work, and it's just going to be a matter of, like, it'll take a while for these buffers to fill properly. And until that happens, we're going to continue to have problems up here. So this is putting quite a bit of water in, and I assume that's going to crater and be zero occasionally. Yes, so this possibly also could use a buffer to balance it, but I think the buffers we have should be doing that better. And I don't know where, because this one is just going into these, right? And then up to that. Okay. And these are every 3.5 seconds. They eat 5 water. So that's probably fine. That's the only one that these are connected up to. How many of these are there? I think I noticed earlier that this wasn't a full thing, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, so this could accept more water in theory. And like even you can actually look and see that, yeah, these are all running at 100%. So let's see if I can find... Oh, I found a spot. I saw it briefly. It flickered blue just there. So we can get another pipe onto this one. And that should... Adding an additional 120 on there should help that. Because now this is going to be going at the full 600 instead of 480. Which should mean more goes up there, and it'll be more consistent. Alright, if we go back over here, this is continuing to like fill on average, which is probably fine. It does definitely have points where it drains a lot more than it does otherwise. That's good. This one over here is also filling a lot, very slowly. So our additional water in that pipe should cause a lot of problems. There are very few fluid-related problems, at least with water, that you can't just paper over by just shoving more water into the system. So that's always a good tip. It's just, when in doubt, add an additional water extractor to see if it solves the problem. Alright, then this is currently down to 0. And yeah, it's gonna do its whole thing as always. It is wildly inconsistent. And this does... We did eventually get this whole thing filled. So that's nice. Although it's... Even the pipes aren't quite there yet. Yeah, let's get another industrial fluid buffer on here, just because you never know. Maybe it'll help. And then I think we want a valve going that way just in case. So this should do some equalizing out. We'll see if the drain rate goes up at all. It does. So it's not got much water in it at the moment, so it's going to take a while to start doing its thing. But it should get there eventually. It probably has to fill up to like a certain level before it starts being able to drain. At least be able to drain much. But we'll see. In the meantime, this is all running, looks like, correctly. And the water pipes are doing water pipe things. So yeah, seems like nothing to complain about there. This should probably be full by now, or no, it just really does not fill quickly because of what it's doing. But I think, like, both of those are significantly higher up by several hundred than the last time I checked. So I'd imagine they're eventually just going to hit max. Did I see a yellow light over here? yes. Okay, so it's probably a copper shortage. Okay, so are these going in there much? It's hard to say because they're supposed to go into that sink a little bit, but it's very possible that they're doing it more than they should be. Alright, how much copper is this meant to be? It's meant to be 280 total. Alright, so let's make that Mark III. So then this throughput will only be like 310-ish, which should be a bit of an improvement there on just keeping this at a nice even output rate. We are still getting some through, but I think that's fine. Because we are obviously supposed to be getting some through because there's 100 that should be making all-clad aluminum sheets. Which actually, let's just... We have the ingots, we have the copper, we have the aluminum. We can just, like, make the all-clad sheets. We should be making progress regardless. So this points over this way. And let's grab some space. We need 10 assemblers for this, which is just going to be a assembler blueprint times up to 12 assemblers. So blueprint, let's see here. We had one of these. I can never remember which one. The electrode circuit boards was one of the ones that was broken, right? I think fused wire was one of the ones that functioned properly. Alright, so we just have to place down 3 of this blueprint. And I think these are supposed to be facing the other way. So you get 1 and 2 and 3. I don't think it connected properly, but that's fine. There's only 3 of them. And then this is all-clad aluminum sheets. We need 300 total, so 300 divided by 12. Something about that. Alright, no, yeah, so this is 300 divided by 12. I was a bit skeptical that the numbers would work, but apparently they do. So then we just paste that across to all of these guys. Alright, settings pasted. Now we power them all on. Bring a power line down to, I don't know, here somewhere. Just anywhere with some spares. There we go. Alright. Now we just have to do a 1-to-3 split for each of these. There. And there. It is 300 aluminum and 100 copper. So the aluminum, which I guess could be this top one, needs Mark II. And the copper just needs Mark 1s down here. 1, 1, and 1. Alright, now we just have to get the actual belts connected in. So that goes like that. And we get this in. Alright, so then that goes over there to the aluminum. And we're going to have to grab a balancer to get 300 exactly off of this, which should be pretty easy. So all we have to do, let's actually do it in this space here. This is as good a spot as any. We just need a Mark III belt and half of a Mark I belt. So we get that. We get that. That's a Mark I. That is a merger. That's half the Mark I. That's the Mark III. That's the fast enough belt to accommodate both of those. And then the other half of the Mark I loops back in like so. And this can just be as fast as it wants to be, I think. And then I guess we're going to need another smart splitter on this so that we can deal with the rest of the aluminum on that belt. So this then just goes over here and goes in there. Then connects across. That is probably 300 aluminum. It looks slightly less than half of 780, which is what it should be. So then we grab our copper, which let's just send it in on a Mark V belt. I want it to just go. There we go. So that'll at least get it to this last stage faster. Okay, then we take our 300 all-clad sheets and we can just send them across in a nice fancy Mark V belt and right into a sink. Alright, so then this gets a sink, which requires a little bit more space there. And then we get the sink, which gets a smart splitter. And then that goes across, and the sink gets powered on. Alright, that's all clad aluminum sheets done. And that should be all of the copper that we need. So now, if we drop down to our copper supply, now nothing should ever be going into here now. It should always just be going forwards into that. Okay, there's a bit of a gap in there. I don't know if that's just how it is. I think that's just how it is. I'm not seeing anything go into this sink. So that's a good sign. That is a good sign. Alright, yeah, we should be all fine here. This water is filling up dramatically, as is this one. And then let's go up here to check this one. Alright, this one is a little bit more full than it was, which is always a good sign. And also, we have all of these are green, all of those are green. Alright, so I think that is good. So now let's just bring the water pipe up, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll have to figure something out in the future. that just gets a floor hole and a pipe going up, which I would imagine is going to need a pump. I'm not 100% certain that it will, but I'm going to give it one. And if it doesn't need one, that's, you know, like, how much is this? Like 5 megawatts or something? Not a problem. Okay, and it currently isn't doing anything. So I imagine that water is just not going up into it, which is unsurprising. I did put this in like the absolute worst spot for water to gain access to. So we'll see if by doing it that way I've caused problems. The idea is that by putting it here, it won't go up unless this is all solid, which I guess is a sign that it's not going well. So I guess we're probably going to have to spend even more time staring at this stupid thing. For now, let's see what else we can do just with what we have. So now that we have the aluminum up here, we can probably do some stuff. So we can make aluminum beams. And that is just... So we can make aluminum beams, we can make aluminum casings, we can make aluminum rods. So I guess let's do that. Let's do all of the things that we can make out of aluminum. I don't know why we're doing aluminum beams and rods when we could be doing iron rods and encased industrial pipes. I don't know. I probably have some weird setting on the Satisfactory tools that caused it to do that. Alright, anyways, aluminum. So this is theoretically a belt of 780. We've got 300 going that way. Let's put a sign there. Label sign. So this is aluminum ingots 300, which means that theoretically this is 480. Now, are any of these things we can use aluminum ingots for conveniently 480 sized? No, not really. We've got 194, 85.7, and 750. So I guess let's just do the aluminum rods then. That's going to be 12 constructors, which I did just make a constructor blueprint, so that should be fine. So we can go over this way, extend this out. It's going to be a pretty wide factory. Not that that's an issue. Alright, so that should be enough space, at least vertically. So where was that thing? It was iron wire, right? Yes, that was just the 4 of those. And then we can just place 3 of these in. Like so, and then change the recipes to aluminum rods, which we need 600 iron rod output. Okay, that's... Did I never select the recipe because it's kind of mid? I bet I never selected the recipe. Let's go in here. Okay, we're also going to need aluminum beam for this, so let's just grab that while we're at it. Grab aluminum rod. While we're in here, are there any others that I need for this that I didn't grab? No, just those 2. Alright, so you get to be aluminum rod. And if we have 12 instead of 11.49 and we want 600 out, we need that to be 50. So now we just run around hitting Control V on everything. And just make sure we haven't ran out of power range. So let's grab some power and get these guys hooked up. Alright, so those were already set, and then I hadn't quite gotten to this last batch. Alright, so that is that. And we get a conveyor splitter on there. And 85.713 is kind of an absurd number. How am I going to balance that? So I need to figure out how to get either 85.713 or 194.487 or get those in some ratio of each other. 85.713 plus 194.487 is 280.2. Alright. And then are those like divided by 3 or something? No, divided by 2. Does that work out to any reasonable fraction of anything? No, it does not. Alright, I think this is just impossible to do with proper balancing, which does kind of suck. It certainly is not convenient. I mean, we can get the 750 easily, obviously, for the aluminum casings. So it's just these two weird numbers which we need to do something about. Let's see here. These are going to be making 600 output. And it's 1 to 7. Okay, wait, is that correct? So that's 85.714 as opposed to 0.713. Satisfactory tools calculating wrong. It says we need exactly 600 rods. So 85.714. Alright, can I get parentheses on? Oh, I minimized the window to look at satisfactory tools. That's why I was typing and nothing was happening. Plus 194.487 is actually 280.201. Aha, got him. Alright, what's the ratio for the aluminum beams? Because we might be able to get a more precise thing here in the same way. So it's 3 to 3. Oh, because we don't have just 100. We have a weird number there. Alright. Unfortunate. Okay, how do we do this? Is there any way? No. I think we just have to give up. We are just gonna use back pressure to balance these, despite how much I hate using back pressure to balance things. We should have more aluminum ingots going into here than we need anyways, so like it shouldn't be that much of an issue unless... So the downside now is that if the train bringing aluminum ingots ever runs out, which it is very prone to doing at any moment, then it's going to take quite a while for anything to get done. Alright, that can be right overflow. Alright, so Yeah, so this is going to be... I could just, like, round up to 90 and just send 90 here. And then round up to 200 and send 200 to the beams. And because I have more than 2 full belts, that will ensure that it's fine. Actually, let's see. That's 300. That's going to be 120 now, so 420. If we add another 200 there, that's 620, which is still less than a full belt. So yeah, this is actually fine. We don't need to use back pressure. The belts just being fast enough will be able to keep all of these outputs saturated simultaneously. Also, this isn't working. This needs to just be a splitter like that, I think. Something like that, I think. So that was not set up correctly. I assume these will be 89%, something like that. Alright, so now we have our 20 trillion rods, which we can just sink. And that goes over here. And then we need a little bit more space just to make the sink fit. Sorry about that. I had a quick sneeze. Okay, and then we need one more over here. So then we get the sink. It gets a smart splitter. And the rods go across. And done. Okay, this looks it right. So I never connected that up, and I never connected that up. So now this should all be able to output directly into the sink, where we will deal with our rods later. Alright, so that is that. Then next up on the list of things we can do with aluminum ingots, we have our, whatchamacallits, we have our aluminum beams, which is going to be another 9 constructors. Now, I don't have a blueprint for 9, but I can just upgrade to 12 and have it be fine. It's just one addition. It's just like a couple additional machines anyways. Like if it were 10, I would be upgrading to 12 and not thinking about it. Like it would just be completely normal. So it'll be just fine like this. I want these to be lined up with the ones behind them for neatness sake. And then we don't need all that much space. So we can just go there. No, not that. I don't know why you would think I wanted to do that. Alright, let's get this row filled out. And now we can get the rest of these in. 2 and 3 blueprints. Then we get our splitter, which goes to there, into there, and into there. We have to set the recipe now. It is aluminum beams, and we need 194.487. Because of course we do. 194.487 divided by 12. There we go. It's going to be 16 each. Which means each of these batches of 4 is going to be a bit. But I think the belt speed should be fine as is. I just need to make these Mark IIs. They're going to be getting 60 something instead of just 60. There we go. And then we take just a Mark III belt, goes forwards and around and in. Now, these machines are going to overfill because we're not giving them quite the correct amount, but that's fine. So now we just power these guys up, connect them back to that, and now we just give them a sink, and then we'll just have one more thing to do with the aluminum, which we'll see if we can get that also finished today. Might as well. So that goes onto there and over to some power pole. And that's our aluminum beam setup. Alright, so the last thing we need aluminum for are the casings, which is going to be another row of 12 constructors. Funny how that works. It's another one where it could be 9, but I don't have a blueprint for that. And I don't really want to just make a bunch of very similar blueprints of like 4 constructors and 3 constructors and 2 constructors and 5 constructors, and now let's just stick with our 4 constructor blueprint and then do underclocking to get it right. Alright, so that should be enough space. And this one's going to be insanely fast, because this is 750 aluminum ingots going in, which is, first of all, we're going to have to grab the other aluminum belt for it, and second of all, that's just a lot of aluminum. Just objectively a very large number. Alright, so you are set to aluminum casings. 750 divided by 12. What? Oh, right. It's not that. It's... the output is 500, so it's 500 divided by 12. There we go. So that is 62.5 aluminum ingots per machine. Now let's just get the other... no, not that. Just get the other couple of things in. So we need 3 of these, as usual. Oh, also, did I connect the beams up? I did. I don't remember when I did that. Alright, so let's connect those up like so. And then we get our conveyor splitters. Gosh, it's real dark all of a sudden. Alright, so let's do some math. So this is, we need to copy paste this across. Marginally more than 60 each. Marginally more than 60 each, which means that these belts need to be Mark III, because the Mark II is just barely not enough. So let's get around to doing that. And then, if those are marginally more than 60 each, so that's 62.5, which means that this is 125, which means that this is 250, which means that it can still handle Mark IIIs, and yeah, I know that I could have known that was 250 based on the fact that the input is 750 and there are 3 of them. Alright, so then this belt goes around this. Actually, let's have it Let's have it go around this way, actually. Just... No, because that's where all the outputs are going to be. Yeah, it's going to be a bit confusing looking, but it's better to have all of the inputs crossing over each other and being confusing in one spot than having like some inputs and some outputs of various different things all together. So this goes... Oh, wait. We don't want that to cross over there, actually. We want this to just go down to here. And then go over to here and in there. So that's 780, which will be divided all correctly. And then we just have to get these guys powered. And then get the sink. Alright. So that goes out like so. Then we grab a sink. And there. That goes in. And then that just goes across. And connect it to power. And boom, done. Alright, so that is, I believe, right? The aluminum goes to aluminum beams, which we have. Aluminum casings, which we have. All-clad aluminum sheets, which we have. And aluminum rods, which we have. So we no longer need to worry about aluminum directly. Although we still have to worry about all the 20 different things that it gets crafted into, but that is still pretty good progress. So, let's see, it is 4:42. I think we're going to wrap up the stream for today. So we've had a nice, productive day. Got a whole lot of stuff done. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun. Today we got our iron crafting up, and we've started assembling the pieces from the train network. So we've got some aluminum in here. And yeah, we're making good progress. Now, we're not especially close to finishing this. It's probably going to be a couple streams still, but still, if we keep making progress like we did today, it won't be that long. And then we will have this, and then it'll be on to nuclear pasta and ending phase 4. That's all a bit in the future, but for now, we're just going to keep chipping away at this. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Let's see here. So, tomorrow's the 23rd. I will probably not be streaming tomorrow. And then, obviously, the 24th and the 25th. I'm definitely not streaming. Probably not the 26th either. I don't know. Holiday plans are all a bit not very well planned. So we'll figure things out then. So make sure to follow if you haven't already. That's the best way to know when I'm live, when I'm not, especially during holiday stuff when it's not always just obvious, although as a general rule I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so if you're going to check to see if I'm live, that would be the time to do it. And that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. See you guys next time. If we do stream tomorrow, it'll be Factorio. Otherwise, who knows what it'll be depending on when I come back. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.